Hey, Kairos community and family. It's your girl, Dr. K, Managing School Director here with another Teacher Talk. And today's magnificent educator that we're going to highlight is the one, the only, the phenomenal Jaz Holley. She is
Okay.
our ELA teacher. And y'all, you are in store for some wonderful teaching, instruction, and just overall be prepared to be wow. Without me tooting your horn too much, Miss Holley, can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself as an educator, what brought you here, and some of that magical stuff happening in your classroom?
Okay. Well, as previously stated, I am Jaz Holley. I've been an educator, a classroom instructor for 7 years, but I've been an educator for 10 years. I am currently the instructional coach, English department chair, and super honored at my core. I'm always a teacher. I'm a lead teacher in the high school for ELA. And one of the biggest things that I always reiterate to people is like education fell into my lap. It is my calling. I didn't originally go to school for it. It is just something that I feel like I was put on earth to do. So that's something that I would really like people to know about me. And my son is a Kraken, so I really believe in Kairos. If I put my baby in it, then I gotta believe in
Yes.
it, right?
Absolutely. And we have that in common. We both believe in the mission and the vision of Kairos so much that we not only are educators in this space, we are also parents. What the
Absolutely.
people really want to know about Ms. Holley is in your class, I know that your current unit has to do with character development. Walk us through what that thought process was for your planning, what the kids were actually doing, and what was the outcome that you anticipated and expected scholars to walk away with in this unit?
Okay, so right now we're reading a text entitled A Lesson Before Dying. And when you think about development, one of the key things that always tell students, anytime you see development anywhere on a test or anywhere in a rubric, I want you to think about observable changes. So the goal is that my babies can be able to pinpoint certain characters in a novel or in any type of text at the beginning and explain to people, analyze, explain deeper using their exceptional critical thinking skills, how those characters evolve or change by the end of a story. Because this book is so like relatable and a lot of our kids can empathize with certain characters in the book, our kids are really, really killing it in terms of figuring out what personal changes these actual characters are going through. And they're like really, really strong in citing evidence and explaining to me what changes they're seeing in these characters. And the ultimate goal is to, first of all, have some fun, right? But we want to make
Absolutely.
sure that our babies can perform on these assessments. So I think about my class as a place where I trick kids into learning. So the ultimate goal and the end goal is for our scholars to one, produce an actual 5 paragraph essay in real time. I've already let my babies know I want y'all to do it in class that day because I want to know you can do it on the ELC and ACT. But also the fun part is they're going to get to have a mock trial. So they're going to get to actually, typically you think about a court case, guilty, not guilty. They're going to have to prove that the main character Jefferson is a man in terms of dignity at the end of the novel. So if you've ever read the book, it's not about his actual sentence. It's about the actual main character and the narrator's goal of making him a man and making sure that he dies with dignity. So they're going to put each other on trial to prove, did he die with dignity or did he die the same as he was in the beginning? A man who lacks
Absolutely.
self-worth and self-confidence. So I'm tricking them. So I'm like, they pulling all this evidence and they explain it because in the end, during the mock trial, they're going to have to explain and argue with each other. But it's going to be positive arguments. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I love that. And even how you're looking at that sentiment of humanizing people. That's one of those real world connections and something that is sticky
Absolutely.
with learning. So I can really appreciate that. The next thing that I want to talk about is when I was looking at the Slack channel, I saw a lot of great things coming from you about today's lesson. As I pull it up, because I know we want to share with our viewers what was happening, can you explain a little bit more on today's lesson and what was so pivotal about what you were teaching today?
Okay, well, if you know Miss Holly has super high expectations. So one of the things that I preach to my babies is that we write like 10th and 11th graders. We do not write at grade level. So when I was grading that work, I noticed quite a few of my scholars were struggling to like really, really explain and analyze evidence. So at the beginning of class, I pulled a student exemplar. We talked about why it was strong. I pulled another student exemplar. We talked about how it could have been stronger. And so after that, scholars had the knowledge to be able to be like, okay, I know what I have to do to get an actual 6 or 7. That's 10th grade work, right? And so what I did with my babies was we had a competition today. I split them up into groups. I gave them a quote at random, right? Just to see if they can apply and transfer this skill no matter when and where I give them the actual element. And I put them into groups. and they had to go pull a quote just at random in their groups. And then they had to go find a character element that their quote represented. And they had to work together in groups to create 6 and 7s, which is the highest you can get in my class on the actual summit rubric. We even analyzed the rubric in yesterday's class, so our kids know it fairly well. And I was just blown away, Dr. K. It was one of my favorite days as an educator because I knew my kids could write, but I didn't know they could get down like this. This is the first day since I've been a Kraken that my kids wrote I had a couple of groups that got a 7, right? That's 10th grade writing. And
Absolutely.
the cool part about this is that my babies graded each other. And they had to explain to the entire class why they group that grade. So all the thinking and the cognitive lift was on them. So it was like they were teaching me and teaching each other. And I was just sitting there and I was just acting as a support and not necessarily doing all the heavy lifting and lecturing.
I love that. And then that really goes to the core of what Summit is. Summit puts the scholar in the driver's seat. It is project-based, but it's student-led and teacher-facilitated. I was hopping through some of these pictures and I could just see the smiles, the engagement on their face. Tell me a little bit more about what we call SLP, the Summit Learning Platform. How have you used that to plan and make the connections? And even before you answer that question, I love how you have that rubric up. That's that KAHS skill rubric that we were talking about, and making sure the scholars understand what's the difference in, like you said, 10th grade, 9th grade, 8th grade, and what needs to be true in order to get them to the next level. But yeah, talk to me about the platform, because parents hear about it. They know that their kids are working on it, but how do we use that not only for the curriculum and the structure, but also for instructional look-forwards and framework?
Well, first, Summit Learning is definitely project-based, right? So when you think about project-based learning, you think about learning by doing and thinking, and not so much by the teacher lecturing and telling you how to think. So our students think for themselves. But my favorite thing about the Summit platform is that everything is so just engaging and hands-on, and students are still set up to perform, because we can't negate the assessments, right? The assessments are how we keep the door open, right? But the actual platform, while it's fun and engaging, is actually standard aligned. And so those specific KAHS skills, which are not necessarily standards, but more so skills that scholars can apply in real life, those actual KAHS skills are still aligned with the state standards. So students are getting prepared for the test while getting prepared for life. And they're doing it in a way that feels fun. Like, that's my favorite thing about project-based learning. It just feels fun and it feels good. And kids are not dragging. Kids want to do it. And kids enjoy thinking. And kids are way more proud of themselves when they've done all of the work and the teacher didn't do all the work, because that helps them recognize their own academic potential. Another thing I really love about Summit is this idea around self-directed learning, right? About putting that ownership on students, but having a teacher in the classroom as someone who is more of a guide and more of just someone who's there to support the students around their cognitive abilities. So that Summit, I love Summit, especially now that I know how to work it. I love it. I think it is a jewel.
Wonderful. And then you actually just alluded to something. I think Summit, just like with any other curriculum, is how you use it, how you engage with it, and then how you set our scholars up for success using that as a strong foundation. Before we let everyone go, what I know that they can appreciate about you, which is something that I feel like is one of your biggest attributes, your passion oozes through the screen. And so I want parents to know that we have educators just like you in the classroom that get excited about it. And as you mentioned, even though this wasn't your first calling, it is definitely the right calling. We have people that are engaged and in the right place, and who are invested in creating an academically rigorous, but also joyfully inviting and inclusive environment, right? So I appreciate that. Is there anything else that you want to share with our stakeholders, other teachers, or even scholars when you think about this year, where we've gone, where we're trying to get to, and even the future when it comes to next year, from your classroom, your engagement, Summit? But we'll just let you have that open-ended question on what excites you and what are you looking forward to, and what nugget to drop on them.
I am excited about the results. Also, anybody that knows me knows, in addition to having the passion, I'm very results driven. And I'm super excited to prove to our stakeholders, to prove to anyone who's a naysayer or a non-believer that the way we do education works.
Yes.
And even though it's different and even though it's outside the box, we are efficient and we are effective. And we're going to continue to work together as a network, and we are going to produce results. So I just want to let everyone know that to get ready, because our babies are going to kill it on these assessments. Although it looks completely different than traditional education, it is the right way to do education for Gen Z, this generation in particular. And I just love my babies, and anyone who knows me knows I love the crap out of them, but I have really high expectations for them. And I love being in a place that embraces that about me. Like Holly has high expectations for her staff, for her actual students, but she's gonna love them and get them to meet those expectations. I'm gonna love them the whole way through.
Absolutely. And that's reciprocated. Every scholar that I have either gone into the classroom or had the pleasure of talking to has nothing but great things to say. And I really appreciate that no nonsense nurturing approach that, hey, we care about you, but that means that the bar stays off the ground and we want you to meet your full potential. And so equity for our scholars means giving them what they need at the right pace to be successful in life and learning and in all aspects. Ms. Holley, yeah, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing with everyone some of the magical things that are happening in your classroom. And I say magical lightly. It's preparation, it's planning, it's it's all of those other things that really go there that make it seem seamless when we see it at the ending results.
Absolutely.
And thank you for all of your hard work. And this is one of our coaches. What we really try to do at Kairos is when we acknowledge that people have a skill set, how can we leverage that and how can we help everyone be able to have that same high bar so that the recipients, which are our scholars, are really rewarded by a rich environment with fully invested.
Can I do one more shout out?
Yes.
Because you did mention that I'm an instructional coach. I also would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge how hard these teachers work at Kairos and how eager they are to learn. Like, I really enjoy as an instructional coach leading PDs and doing in-service because our teachers are so fired up and ready to go and ready to learn. So I just want to shout out our amazing educators who are on the ground every single day working their butts off, Dr. K.
Wonderful. And I'm very proud that you said that because we don't do it by ourselves. We do it collectively as a group. And my shout out is to the parents. Everyone has a choice.
Absolutely.
Thank you for choosing us.
Yes,
thank you for allowing us to be able to educate your child and to go on this journey called education with them and in life. So again, this has been a teacher talk with Dr. K with our special guest, Ms. Jaz Holley, 9th grade ELA teacher, also an instructional coach and department chair. Until next time, y'all. Bye.